How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of FSI's NASCAR DFS Pick Show. I'm your host, DK Nation 47, joined by Mega Ruler 31. Mega, how was your Xfinity race experience? Is that what these have turning into now?
I'm sorry, folks. I have no idea who this guy is crashing my video here. I've been doing these race videos all weekend long, and all of a sudden this guy comes and joins the party. So it was just really difficult being like a Thursday night race and a Friday night race. So thank goodness I just had a little bit of time to help you guys out, but didn't really help myself out. Truck race, first 5 minutes, I think two of my guys are out today. Moffitt's gone, Castle blows an engine or something, Curly's out. It was just frustrating. Poor TK is doing good, and then Allmendinger decides to like wreck the field on his way to victory, and so let's just hope for some stability in Cup, please.
Yes, and the trend has the trend has always been, if the truck and Xfinity races have been crap, that means the Cup Series has been good, and vice versa. So naturally, we're both headed for a good Saturday night race. We have the Bass Pro Shops Night Race 500, the most original race name we've had in quite some time. 500 laps, Mega. So we need some dominators here, and we have quite a bit of them in the top 5 that generally dominate this track. This is going to be interesting build here now that we're into the playoffs, and we get, all the good drivers to the front and all the crappy drivers to the back. So some place differential, not really as easy as it would have been in the past. So let's get talking about strategy just a little bit, and any kind of insight into what we're looking at here.
Well, I think we did kind of got to look at the playoff picture. Mm-hmm. So Truex and Hamlin are definitely in. They're locked into the next round. It's going to be a cutoff ratio. 16 drivers in the playoffs currently. It's going to be cut down to 12 after this. So 4 drivers fall off.
Correct.
Logano, I think, Larson is actually leading in points, and he's pretty much the favorite to win this race. So I don't see any scenario, even if he crashes early, where he's going to lose enough points not to get in. I think Logano has enough points also to be safely ahead of everybody. So locking those 4 in. Blaney, I think, is about 28 points up. So it would take a catastrophe for him to fall out. I think he and Harvick and Elliott, I have them in yellow on my sheet because there is a remote chance, I believe, that they could not make the playoffs, but I think they're pretty much good. But I think with those guys, and we'll talk to when we get with strategy, and I talked about it in Xfinity, you would think that they would just want to kind of finish the race and not try to push it. I mean, stage points are important and stuff, and they do help you build up a cushion to try to advance to the next one. And we do have Talladega here, so people are going to need a little bit of a cushion in these playoffs as we continue to go. But I think they are okay. They might be a little conservative. So now we have the guys that are kind of in danger. Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, and I don't know, I call it
Kurt Busch.
Yeah, I call it Eric Almerola, the wrong color. I should have left him red, but he's actually in 11th. Eric Almerola, and Kurt Busch is actually on the bubble right now, but he's actually tied with Bowman. I think it's because of wins or some. I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but in point standings, they're deadlocked. So I think Bowman's the first one out, but then you have Tyler Reddick, William Byron, and Michael McDowell. Now the thing is if any of these guys below the cut line win the race, then they're automatically in. I have Michael McDowell on my sheet as bright red because this is probably his worst track. I just do not see that happening unless the first 15 cars wreck and he somehow pulls off to the side and then is able to start over and hope the rest of the field doesn't catch him eventually. I don't see that happening. But Byron, I think, Reddick, and Bowman's close enough that I think that he can get his way in with points, but there's only like an 18-point difference, I think, between Byron and the tie between Kurt Busch and Bowman. So, I mean, that's definitely workable on the the track. If you get up in the top 5, get some stage points, finish well, one of those guys have trouble, I think, that definitely works. So lots of things could happen here. And I think that's going to, it's too bad this isn't one of the ones like the NFL. I can't play in my state, but somewhere where you can play like the game at halftime or like,
Yeah.
you do a DF at a quarter. It'd be fun to do this like stage 3. Like once you see stage 1 and 2, see who's in, see who's out. That would be a great DFS game to play, because then you would kind of see like who's really got to push for it. And
yeah, and I don't understand how, NASCAR or DraftKings, excuse me, hasn't capitalized on stage points as part of scoring or
right.
like in-game racing with stages. Like, I don't understand how they haven't taken advantage of this yet from a lobby standpoint or just DraftKings scoring. I don't know. They're lazy.
You have
when
a
it comes
completely
to
different player pool though, because there's some
Yeah.
drivers that race for stage points and not anything
Right.
else in the race, so they would be more
And-
valuable than
And there is a
normally.
projection there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not the only crazy one. All right. Well, let's get into picks here. Well done on strategy. We have Martin Truex Jr. on the pole, 9,900. Truex used to not be good at small tracks, but he's turning into, quite a little guru when it comes to these, short tracks. Any thoughts on him leading and dominating this race?
I think it's possible, but I'm listening to him as a GPP because of his history is not good. Yes, he did finally win a short track last week, but the problem with Truex is he ends up making too much contact and he has a lot of tire problems. It seems like he has a loose wheel. He's got a tire rub, a tire going down on these tracks. So I know my daughter's going to hate me for saying this. I'm not saying he's a fade. I'll have him in some GPP lineups, but I really think that he's locked into the next round. So I think it's go out there, have a good race, make sure you finish the race so you bank up some points. You don't need to press to win this one. And I think that's what we're going to see with him. I think Hamlin is going to get by him early on to lead early, and he's the guys are second here. So Hamlin, I would take in cash, but Truex gives you a nice discount. He's below 10K barely at 99. You have some of the other guys that are like mid 10K, and you have a couple 11K guys here. So
I think Truex and team are probably going to be gunning for a good finish at the end of stage 1. Lock up some playoff points that you're in good track position for. And then after that, take 4 tires at the stage. And if you don't come off a pit road first, you don't come off a pit road first. I don't think it's going to make or break their race. I don't think they're racing to win tomorrow, but I think they're going to be racing for the first stage, maybe even into the second for, playoff points. And then when their car, starts to wilter, I don't think they're going to push too hard. I think they're going to try to, just try to finish the race, stage points, and then they're good. Now, how many laps can he lead before this happens is the ultimate question. When you have guys like Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano and Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson behind them, 4 guys that are really good on short tracks, I think it's risky. Especially because I think he could finish somewhere between 7th and 12th and be fine with that. You're going to lose some place differential. I don't know if there's enough dominator points here for Martin Truex Jr. And for that reason, I am GPP only as well, just in case he does dominate. Next up, Denny Hamlin, as we've been alluding to, 10-8. You had referenced him for cash lineups. I think that's a pretty strong bet. Denny Hamlin looks to be hitting his stride. Joe Gibbs, big applause to you for being well ahead of the curve here on JGR and how they have attacked this season. You have nailed it, sir. I'm going to let you have the floor.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of weeks ago that I saw some people speculating that they kind of let Hendricks just run wild through the regular season, but they were like saving their resources and really focusing on these races that are in the playoffs. I believe it's 10 races, so it's 3 and 3 and 3, and then the final one at Phoenix, just making sure that they were ready for the setups there, had everything tested and stuff, and it's really shown off. They really have done well. Hendricks has done okay, but they seemed like they were a step behind. The first race in the playoffs was an absolute disaster. They ran into each other. It was chaotic. And Penske really hasn't shown much speed either here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, I think, we're probably going to see a Joe Gibbs champion.
Yeah. And that's a good, that would have been a really good bet to have when Denny Hamlin was in his winless streak and he was bubbling for points. Really should have took advantage of that championship bet because he's looking pretty strong right now, hitting his stride at the perfect time. Definitely going to be in cash lineup builds tomorrow. GPPs, Denny Hamlin going to be significantly owned. So will I have exposure on this next driver. You did reference Penske not having much speed, but I do love Joey Logano at Bristol. He's kind of hit or miss here, but I've seen enough from Joey on short tracks to know that he can dominate and he can lead laps and he can come away at the end as a victor. I don't think his ownership will be as high. And I think for that reason, I think I'm going to try to be a little bit overweight on the field on Joey Logano. What are your thoughts?
You're going to be overweight, you said?
Yeah. Just to the field.
Yeah, I'm a GPP for me. Like I said, I look at him safely in fourth. I think he's going to coast through this. He's good in this package. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But I think he's really struggled to have a top 5 car in some of these tracks. And I think with some of the other guys being a little bit more desperate, I think he can finish in the top 10, but I don't think he gets out there and lead laps 10-2 without leading the laps. And if he can't finish in the top 5, I think it's risky. So GPP for me. I think he can get to the 4X that we usually look for, but I don't think he has much of a ceiling.
So Joey Logano has 244 laps led in his last 6 races with 2 top 5s, but 0 wins. Average start of 8th and average finish of 10th. So you seemingly are in line, and there is a little bit of truth to some laps led, but not as dominant as others. And I think it's just a ownership play for me. I just think if there's a chance he has a really good car tomorrow, me being overweight in, the 50 cent, 150 lineups, maybe there's an edge there to getting to the top of the leaderboard on GBP lineups. Next up, we have Chase Elliott, 10-5. Hendricks, our first Hendricks car here. Chase Elliott is not safely in, but as you mentioned, he's pretty good on points. Anything but probably an early wreck sees him through to the 12. What are your thoughts on Chase Elliott?
I think you can play him in cash. I think he's got potential to get up there and lead. Hendricks got a good program. I think he's going to have high ownership. I think people are going to pair the Hendricks teams or maybe pair one of the Gibbs cars with him, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to play Larson out of this group. And then I don't know if he fits my build. I think I would rather go down and take some of these guys that are in like the 8200s that have a little bit of place differential, or like maybe like a guy in like 9K range that has a little bit more place differential and more to play for. So I'm not saying don't play him. I think he is a cash play, but I just don't know like how dominant he's going to be here.
Yeah. It's hard to fit 10-2 for Logano, 10-5 for Chase Elliott with, ultimately what are probably the chalkier builds. And we'll get to that when we talk about Chase Elliott. We'll skip ahead to another guy that I'm alluding to here, but there's a chalk build, maybe with one or two of these guys, and I'll just jump right into it. Kyle Larson next up in 5th, 11-3, and the other guy I'm talking about here is Kyle Busch, who has the very dominant recent form on Bristol. 2 wins in his last 6 races, over 400 led laps, just an absolute juggernaut when it comes to this racetrack. And he's starting 9th. So you're going to get some pretty good place differential. I think people might try to cram both of these guys. I'm not in cash lineups, and I wouldn't disagree with it. Maybe not my choice to do here, but I think that makes for a pretty strong GPP to try to cram both of those 11K drivers, both Larson and Busch. They've been the best 1-2 in the last 6 races here.
Yeah, I agree with like ownership wise. I think that they are going to be two of the highest owned drivers. And I think people are going to go with that. So that maybe makes me look at Elliott a little bit closer as
Yeah.
a pivot off. I think I prefer Hamlin
Yeah.
to over it. You know my feeling on Kyle Busch. There are a couple times I played him in cash this year. I just don't think that this is the situation where I want to play him in cash. I know he's 10th in standings, but I think I made this point with, I can't remember who the driver was. I think it was Brandon Jones, who is another Gibbs car, and he tends to be aggressive, but I felt that he was going to be kind of neutralized today because he was just above the cut line and he's on an aggressive driving track. But if he gets messed up and cuts down a tire and falls back, he's out of the playoffs. So I think, that kind of neutralizes it. So when you take an aggressive driver and you tell them to be a little bit cautious on an aggressive track, I think you get like an average driver and, somebody that's just going to go out there and he turns into Alex Bowman. Honestly,
that's fair.
the vanilla driver. So I don't know if Kyle's like going to get up there and like try to win this race. I mean, of course he wants to, and of course, like winning puts him in a better situation for the playoff. He automatically advances, and it helps him even get a leg up onto the next round. But I've seen so many aggressive guys get wrecked here, and I don't know, 11.5. I think that's a lot. So GPP, yes, absolutely. In my cash build, I'm taking Larson, but I'm not pairing Busch.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say Larson and Busch it's gonna be probably two of the highest owned in my pool, and that's fine. And I think there's other ways to be different in lineups. I'm going to eat this chalk here with these two drivers. I think they're both aggressive, regardless of where they are in the standings. Their sort of nature is to just be aggressive. I want guys that are going to try to, win the race. And I agree with you. I know what you're saying. Tendencies here at Bristol, it's like, if you spin out you're ping ponging off of the walls. That's how tight it is, between the bottom wall and that upper, high bank wall. If one mess up, you're out of the race. So I get it. It's risky. 11.5 for a very aggressive driver, and Kyle Busch gunning for the win. We know he's going to. But what I know is he's going to try to win though. And he's not going to be laying easy for points like maybe a Joey Logano or a Denny Hamlin or Martin Truex, who are almost locked in. I still like those plays as GPP plays because of, the upside that they have in their price and their salary. But when it comes to the two horses of this, I'm going Larson, Busch. Okay. Now, everyone in between
did finish 5th, by the way. So I was correct. Like he did run a pretty clean race. He started 16th. He made it up to 5th, and he was a really good play. So I could see that. But so what I'm thinking here is like Kyle might not necessarily win this race, but a top 5, little place differential. But he just really needs to lead the laps to pay off that salary.
He needs to dominate. And the history shows that he can dominate. Over 477 laps led, 2 wins, and 5 top 5s in his last 6 races. It's there. Average run, or an average finish of 5. I mean, this is his track, dude.
But okay, there are 500 laps here, so that makes me feel a little bit better. Because there weren't as in truck, you only had 200, and Xfinity you only had 300, I believe. So you didn't have as many laps to lead. So I just look at like if Larson's going to lead all these laps, like, so how's Kyle Busch going to? But I could see a scenario where they could possibly trade off and get enough to make value. But it's a small window.
It is. And I think a lot of guys are going to pick between the two. That's why I think both of them might be a contrarian GPP option here. Because I mean, after that though, you're going straight down. I mean, you're not flirting with the 9Ks. It's either Larson or Kyle Busch to lead these laps, and that is it. I mean, when you have 500 laps, generally you try to pick 3 dominators. guy up top, guy in that lower 10s or higher 9s, and then maybe the random guy in the 8K that leads like 55 laps or something. Like you try to mix and match here. So when you play these two in their own separate GPP, you're gunning for both of them to be the only dominators in this race, and then everybody else is your place differential or your fastest laps and your track position plays. All right, I thought that was real good to break down together. Thank you. All right, next up we have Ryan Blaney or Christopher Bell running 6th for Joe Gibbs, 8,800. I like this price tag. I think he's starting a little bit too far forward, but I'm going to have exposure in GPPs. I wouldn't think there's anything else needed for this.
Yeah, I agree. He's a GPP starting a little bit high up. I think he won here when he was in Xfinity. So, he definitely can do well at this track. And can he hang in the top 10? Definitely, but I don't see him getting out there and leading laps and dominating. You don't really need that at 8-8. So GPP, I think, is where we're looking. Yep.
Yeah, finish where you start, get some fast laps in there. I don't think he'll lead any either. Next up, we have Ryan Blaney at 9,400. Not really a short track guy. More of a speedway. He's going to try to claw and fight his way in, knowing Talladega is soon. And that's where he knows he can have a potential to get into that top 4 if he gets to Talladega. So I think he's going to be like the most conservative driver on this track today. And I can see you shaking your head. You know exactly where I'm going with this. I'll let you go ahead.
No, I agree. Like I said, he's in 5th place right now in points. I think he's far enough ahead that he just goes out there, does his job, and finishes the race clean with 4 wheels on the car. And then we move on to the next one.
Top 12.
Yeah.
That's all he wants. Yep. And he's going to be so content running 11 the entire race. So for that reason, I'm kind of almost out at 9,400, knowing that he's just going to give up 6 position points, and there's not going to be fastest laps. He's like, his upside is in ceiling is literally 40 points, and that's not enough for me at 94. He might be excluded for me tomorrow, because there's even a chance he just wrecks too. And because he's not that great of a Bristol driver. He's a speedway guy, a 2-mile track guy. Who's going
to take him out, right?
Probably Harvick. The guy behind him. Oh, yes, his own stinking teammate. I love that call. Can we?
How many times have Penske cars taken each other out?
Exactly. And Keselowski is such a bitter asshole. He's gonna do it too. All right, I love that. But yeah, Blaney is gonna be too far ahead, too conservative for me in this race. Next up, Kevin Harvick, 9K. I'm not gonna lie, I've been really impressed with Kevin Harvick lately, and it looks like Rodney's been holding back on us. Yeah, he's had some speed lately. He's got, kill me if you heard this before. He's got some experience at this track. An average finish is 13th and a win here in his last 6 races. In
his last 60 years of racing here.
Six races. But yes, Kevin Harvick has found some speed. I don't mind him in a GPP play.
You don't really need speed here because
I know it's true. God damn it.
But I get it. And again, the only thing that scares me mildly, I think where we said Blaney's floor is probably 40. I think his floor is more to 50, which would give him 5.5x, which is good at 9K. Is he going to be a little conservative too, because he is right in the middle of points and doesn't need to. But I do believe that it came down to he and Kyle last race in the fall, and he ended up winning it. Now it was last year was last year and this year is this year, and they're completely different, but he has resembled more of last year's Kevin Harvick than this year's in the playoffs. So I have him as a GPP, and I feel a little bit more comfortable with him than Blaney or Bell, just with his experience. And but again, I think he finishes top 10 and he's happy with that.
Yep. And there's a little bit more leeway on place differential. Like if you can sneak into the top 5 and you get 3 extra points plus the 5th place finishing position, that's what I think makes him a better play than Blaney and Bell. But not certainly something I'm going to be overweight on. Like we're talking 10% of lineups, and that's a small percentage. But I think it could be one that could pay off, and if like be the difference in the top of the leaderboard kind of stuff. All right. We already talked about Kyle Busch. I thought that was great. And I'm just going to skip over him and get to probably the biggest disagreement we've had all year. And that is Brad Keselowski at 8,600, starting 10th at Bristol to get into the top 12. All right, Mega, go ahead. Your take. That's a big thumbs down.
I'm a completely fade on him. They've taken away all his resources. Even when he had resources, it didn't even seem like he remembered how to drive a car. He's so focused on next year. Penske has not been a great program. It's the wrong side of the package for him. It's, he's better in like the 550 package than the 750 package. So no.
This is the last race Keselowski has to potentially win another championship, because he knows wherever he's going, he is not going to be a driver that's going to be contending for a championship. This is his last race to get into the top 8, to get into the top 4, to win a championship. Brad Keselowski has a win in the last 6 races, over 395. That's second to Kyle Busch in laps led. I mean, he has an average finish of 15th. He's gonna race the tires off this thing, and he's gonna be wrecking people to do it. And at 8,600, I don't mind that price tag, especially because the place differential. I think he's gonna be trying to run inside the top 8 the whole time, and he's gonna be wrecking guys. Like if I mentioned that before, he's gonna be wrecking people. I'm taking Brad Keselowski as just the true villain. Oh, we've lost Mega. Oh man, that's great. I'm taking him tomorrow. Give me Brad Keselowski in a last hurrah.
Did not do that. Okay.
Last hurrah race. Come on. He's gonna die trying, and I can't wait to watch it. He's just gonna, oh my god, he's gonna take somebody out. I can't wait for the drama. 8,600. Now that price tag is what draws me in. Now you could make for a better case that the next play is better, and it's probably right. So everyone out there, don't listen to TK here. Listen to Mega. Mega, tell us about the next draft.
I like Alex Bowman. Like I said, he's dead tied. He's right on the cusp of it. So I think he has to be a little bit aggressive, but I think again, he just runs a clean race, and Bowman, that's who he is. Like, does he wreck on occasion? Yes. But is it usually his fault? No, it's usually somebody else, but he does put himself in situations where you don't often play him, but then you look at the box score at the end and he finished 5th or 6th and led some laps and had a good race. And I think that's where he ends up. So at 8K, I like it. I don't see him scoring like 50 DK points. He's probably in the 40 to 45 range, but at his price, that gives you 5x, and that's what I'm looking for. So definitely love him here. 8K, good price tag. I think he's going to have some decent ownership too, probably about 20% or so.
Bowman is the trap, and Keselowski is the upside play. That is my take. That is my take tomorrow. I'm in on the villain, and the White Knight of Alex Bowman, I think, could be a trap. An average finish of we have an average finish of 17th, only 1 top 5, only 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s. I think he runs 15th to 20th. That's where I think he is. And I think they priced him down because of his track history. It worries me. Now, he's starting 11th, right? Yeah. So he's got some opportunity to move forward. 8K, that's a great tag, but I could see it blowing up in people's faces. All right. Next up, we have Eric Almerola, 7,300. Any interest?
No, not really.
Okay.
GPP.
Yeah. Right. It's playoff driver. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have exposure to
The
probably
only
every
reason he's a
playoff
playoff driver is
but
because of the New Hampshire race. That's the only reason he got in. He started off horrible season.
who should have won that race? Wasn't it Kyle Busch that should have won that race?
Kyle Busch wrecked on the first lap and then tapped the pace car because it rained.
Oh no, okay. So I'm thinking of a different race.
Yeah.
Somebody should have won that race that wasn't named Almerola, and I was the one that I had the guy in second. All right. Yeah. Almerola 7,300. It's cheap enough to have exposure to a playoff car, I guess I would say. Next up we have Tyler Reddick, GPP. That's about as much as I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs to win probably.
Yeah.
Or like do top 5 to advance, but I think he's going to push too much. And he's
Isn't
another
the bottom
one.
groove.
Yeah, he's another one like Truex, where it just seems like he gets into people, he has that tire rub, and then he has to go change a tire and he loses laps. And it just seems like it happens over and over and over again. So
like this is a good bottom groove racetrack, and yeah, you can make the high side work, but there's no PJ1 down. I struggle to find a reason here to take Tyler Reddick. Average finish up 20th in 2 races here, but he does have a top 5. So it's boom or bust. So maybe that's how I'll approach it. Boom or bust as far as his overall finish. And 76 ain't too bad. So I think, yeah, Almerola, Reddick, they make for the same play, I would say. Next up, we have William Byron, 9,200. William Byron, go ahead, take it away.
I actually really like this play, and I have him listed as one of my prime plays because I think he's the lowest one down besides McDowell. He needs to make up some points. He's a Hendricks car. He's got a good driver. He's got a very good crew chief that really nails setups and does really well. I feel he's pretty much his style of track. I think that, he can definitely get about 50 DK points, about 5X. He might even lead some laps here and definitely finish in the top 10. So I think he's got at least 5 place differential points, and 9.2 is not a bad price.
Yeah, I like the price tag. That's what really draws me in here. Like maybe a Truex, although Truex is probably going to lead some laps.
I didn't do it. I don't know why it keeps on doing it.
Is it? That's weird. Yeah, now it's doing it like every single time.
I'm still here, guys. Can you still hear me?
Mega is here. His video is, yeah, we can hear you. His video is feed cutting out, so he'll be in and out. He's not just disagreeing with me. 9,200 for William Byron is relatively cheap, considering the place differential that you could gain. Unfortunately, the history of William Byron has, in the last 6 races, he only has 1 top 10. Yeah, other than that, I mean, the top 10 finish, I think you can get there. I just struggle to think that's a cash play, in my opinion. I'm not sure. I think I'd rather have a couple of guys further down. But I think we should listen to Mega here on this one. I don't have a really good feel for William Byron. Next up, we have Kurt Busch. I'm not a Kurt Busch guy at 9,600. That's far too much I would ever pay for him. The unfortunate thing is he does have some decent track history. Not from the laps led standpoint, but from a finishing position. He does have a win here with 2 top 5s, an average finish of 9th. So it sounds like I'm going to have to play him starting all the way in 15th.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really kind of scares me is the price. At 96, I thought it was a little high. He placed a differential point. He does have pretty decent numbers here, so I think he's playable, but I think I'd look at him more of a GPP than cash play.
Got it. And last but not least, we have Michael McDowell.
No.
That is a hard no. from the boss man. So no McDowell for us tomorrow, starting 16th. Next up, we have Ross Chastain. What the playoff would be if this guy was in it. I mean, talk about a missed opportunity. This guy's been running inside the top 10, top 5 without occurring any significance. Just I'm here. I'm a good driver. I have good equipment. I'm looking forward to next year. 7,800. Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, I think he definitely makes sense in cash here.
Yeah.
Not too much experience at the track, but I think,
this is all on recent form.
Yeah. And he's been good. So yes.
Yeah. I could tell you I could tell you some history. It's not good, but those cars that he was racing in the past don't compare to the 42. And he's racing the wheels off of it. I like this aggressive play here at starting 17th. Next up, we have Austin Dillon, start 8,200, starting 18th.
I think he's a decent play here.
He's an interesting play.
Yeah, he's priced well. He's starting. He's got some
18.
upside to possibly get into the top 15. So, yeah, I think he could probably get like 35, 40 DK points. So, yeah, I'm in on him for cash.
Yeah, 5 top 20s in his last 6 races, 1 top 10, average finish of 15th. So I think he's right there, 13th to 15th. If he gets to like 12th or 11th place, then you're sitting good with that at 8,200. All right, next up we have Matt Benedetto at 8,400. He does love short track. Racing for his career. I don't mind it.
Yeah, me neither. I'd like to see him win at least one of these races.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
104 laps led in his last 6 races. 1 top 10. I mean, I think obviously that's probably the same race. So he crushed it at one of these races. 8,400, not bad. I'm in.
Yep.
Next up, we have Chase Briscoe starting 20th, Stuart Haas, 6,200. We're going to need some salary savings. Is this where we start?
I think for GPP, but I think the 2 guys right below him are your prime cash plays that you're looking for value. I think we need to talk about all of them at the same. Briscoe, Suarez, and Jones.
Let's roll it.
62, 66, and 64. I would definitely go with Suarez and Jones. I think Briscoe will be lower owned. So if you want some leverage, but if people are trying to jam in the 211K guys, then they're all going to have Suarez and Jones in their lineup. So, and both of them have decent history here. It's just the cars that are a little bit questionable.
Yeah. Well, I certainly won't have Jones. I think we all know about me and Richard Petty cars. But I certainly will have Daniel Suarez. That'll be one of my highest owned value plays on the slate tomorrow. I'm jumping on my guy. I've been kind of in ownership on Daniel Suarez, but he has a 14th place average finish here with 5 top 20s. Sign me up, Daniel Suarez, for sure. I mean, I'll have exposure to Eric Jones, but starting 22nd, he was driving above his pay grade last week. I could see how it blows up in everyone's face, and I'm usually the guy that laughs because it's Richard Petty and he has no money anymore. It's just the teams just fold.
Richard Petty the hobo.
Why does his equipment suck every year? I don't
know. Is he like homeless? Is he like living outside the track?
He's not homeless. He has money, but he has no money in comparison to others. I mean, how is Trackhouse 10 steps ahead of Richard Petty already? You know what I mean? Buying charters. It's ugly in my opinion. And I like Eric Jones. I just don't like the company that he races for. Anyway, that's my own personal vendetta. Eric Jones is a good play. Listen to Mega. That's what we should name this podcast.
I didn't say he's a good play. I said that he's going to be a popular play.
Okay.
I agree with you that the car is suspect. I mean, we're not talking like suspect like a Rick Ware car, but
it's close. We're getting close. We're getting close.
Wait, isn't it Petty Ware? Isn't it?
I think it is.
We figured it out. It's a Rick Ware car.
It's freaking close, dude. And he's just skating by on having just his name and good drivers driving them shitty ass cars, and then they get to better teams, and well, except Bubba Wallace. So that's a different conversation. All right, moving on. We have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I like Ricky here, 7,200. The guy doesn't know anything but aggressive, and 7,200 is a great price tag for him.
Yeah, I think it's a little high. I have him as GPP. I have seen in my studies all over the industry, there's a lot of buzz on him. And I think that a lot of people are locking him into their cash lineups.
Okay. That's not us. That's never me.
Can't do it in cash. I will definitely play him in GPP. He and Kyle Busch will definitely start my GPP lineups, but I'm not taking them in cash.
Would you say that he's raced the last 6 races for JTG at Bristol? I would think so. He's been there quite a while, right? Or that or Roush. I mean, they're similar small teams with a little bit of money, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Average finish 28th. Top 5, 1 top 10, 1 top 20.
I didn't see it was great.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Careful.
Right.
It's not a cash play. This is not a cash play. Like Suarez is a cash play. Maybe even Austin Dillon is a cash play. Kurt Busch, could be a cash play with the way that those guys finish races at Bristol. I mean, the pricing is different, but 7,200, it's great GPP.
The next 5 guys are cash plays over him, I think, and all in a similar price range.
Exactly. Next up, we have Ryan Newman, 7K. Any thoughts on Newman?
I think he's cash. He'll be low owned, but he's hard to pass. He's a veteran, and he knows this track very well. He can definitely finish in the top 25. That's all you need at that price.
5 top 20s in his last 6 races, an average finish of 13th. Okay, I'll play some Ryan Newman. Next up, I think we have our favorite play of the slate. Outside of the big horses up top, there is 6,700. That is Chris Buescher.
Yeah, he hasn't been great on this track. I will disclose that. But I just think with his pricing and, top 20 upside, there's really... I think Bubba Wallace is the only guy behind him that could get ahead of him. But I think there's so many people ahead of him that can fall behind him.
Yeah. He's been in a little bit of a slump, I would say, but not necessarily, I say slump. He finished pretty poorly last week, I would say, but the Cookout, the Southern 500 at Darlington, he finished 9th. I think at Daytona, he finished 2nd. He's Michigan 15th. He's turning it over. Chris Buescher and Daniel Suarez, probably my 2 favorite value plays on the slate. It's funny. It's funny. You can make your core Suarez, Buescher, and then one of Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, and then just start rotating other guys in and out. And there's your 100. There's at least 20 max right there. All right. Next up, we have Cole Custer, 6,900, 26th. Not a bad starting position.
I have him as cash. He just has looked kind of slow in these playoffs. So I don't know if
speed doesn't matter here.
I know, but like I said, he was the one that I worried that they took some of his resources and gave him to Kevin Harvick because Harvick is in the playoffs and it's like all hands on deck for the guy that's got something to play for and everybody else is just there. So he's been
average finish at 29th here.
Yeah, he's been very pedestrian the last couple of races too. So I have him as cash, but I might rethink that. I might drop it to a GPP.
He is a GVP to fade for me.
Okay.
I have more interest in the next play. That is Ryan Preece, 6K. This is Ryan Preece's best track on the circuit. One of the only tracks I'll play Ryan Preece.
Okay.
Yep. Average finish of 16th. Three top 20s in his last 14 races.
6K. I mean,
yep.
I
have nothing to lose at that.
You're almost picking 10 places up over Briscoe.
Yeah.
So 7. So
yeah.
If you put him
no reason.
Yeah.
I don't see you can't play him. If I build that 211K, I'm going to need Suarez, I'm going to need Buescher, and I'm going to need Preece to all finish before the top 20.
You just went Tron on me.
What?
You turned into the guy. You look like Max Headroom from those Pepsi commercials in the 80s. I don't know. One of our Wi-Fi's is messed up.
Well, the sound has sounded good. Hopefully it comes out well. If not, sorry, apologies for technical difficulties. Next up, we have probably the weirdest price tag, I think, on the slate, and that is Bubba Wallace at 75.
It's a place.
Is it just because? Is that it? I mean, because there's no finishing position upside here.
No,
this is what
probably get to the top 20. So I mean, that's 8. I mean, he's not 75.
Maybe get to the top 20. Like he's 22nd at best. Well, hey, 4 top 20s in his last 6 races, an average finish of 20th. He's going to finish 20th.
Right.
That's what he's going to do.
So for 20, you get what, 23 DK points, and that would he would advance 8. So that's 31 DK points right there.
It's not terrible.
It'd get you the 4X that I usually look for. So for like a fill-in play, I mean, he's not like a horse on my roster. So the floor is there.
Yeah, he's a if I land on him guy. He's a if I land on him guy, and I already have 3 or 4 guys I have below him. I hope nobody's listening past this point.
No, but in all honesty, if you look at him, like between him and like Almerola and Reddick, like definitely
that's
that price
the
range.
discussion. That's the discussion. You're going to take place differential, or you're going to try to take Almerola and Reddick finishing inside the top 10 on a shock performance.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Next up, we
end right here.
We realistically could. I think we have one more driver to get to.
I think Corey LaJoy out of all of these is the only viable one. Like Haley, no. Alfredo, no. McLeod, no. Blicky, no. Huff, no. And then you just have Rick Ware cars. You get Rick rolled at the
end. Oh my God, they're all 4 starting in the back.
Well, somehow Blicky gets to start 33rd just because Quinn Huff is like worse than one Rick Ware car, but not worse than all the Rick Ware cars.
Hey, he's got that one thing, all right? He's got that one thing. Blicky. All right. LaJoy is the only play under 5K worthy of your time. All the rest of these cars are going to be over 100.
He's not even down. Under 5K. He's 5,600.
Oh, sorry, 6K. I meant 6K.
Okay.
Whoops.
No problem.
6K. Corey LaJoy. That would be it.
Yeah, I really don't see.
I could understand Corey LaJoy in cash too.
Yeah.
You're going to get 2 place differential points on Haley and Alfredo. You're going to have the opportunity to probably pass some slow dust balls like Cole Custer, and then probably Eric Jones or Michael McDowell, or some of these guys that underperform.
And when Brad Keselowski wrecks, he'll get ahead of him.
Yeah, or in any wrecks like
and Blaney.
Right. So there you go. You can finish like 25th. I could understand LaJoy and cash getting some 6 place differential points. I think you can get up to 25th And that could help you be the difference in getting both of Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, or Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, some of those combinations into your lineup. So not a terrible play. But that is where I think we could stop. Mega, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for breaking the cup down with me. Glad we could get back together and talk some NASCAR. What a good time. As always, everyone, please like and comment below. Yeah, let's join us on the Discord. Let's get to it. Projections. We got a good night race. You got all day to do it. You can find that link in the Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. The bio. Look for that link. Don't root for the Yankees. Mega. Any last words?
No, I just hope this goes better than the first two.
It's going to.
We're off to what, Martinsville next week?
No, we are going to Las Vegas to start off the round of 8. Then it's Talladega.
Okay.
Yep. So, like I said, thank you for listening. Like, comment below. Enjoy your evening Saturday night. And, see you later.